I'm going to read from chapter 3. It goes like this. Touch it again, and I'll split your ass, you bitch. I told you, borrow nothing of mine. You have a canoe and a net. Who you think you are? Logwood Heart? You think you're a king of Grosile? You tin stealer? I will show you who is king. Come. Hector came out from the shade, and actually, the moment he saw him carrying the cutlass, a madman eaten with envy replaced the tin he had borrowed from Hector's canoe neatly back in the prow of Hector's boat. Then actually, who had had enough of this madman, wiped and hefted his own blade. And now the villagers emerged from the green shade of the almonds and wax-leaved machineals for the face-off that Hector wanted. Actually walked off and waited at the warm shallow's edge. Hector strode towards him. The villagers followed as the surf abated its sound, its fear cowering at the beach's rim. Then, far out at sea, in the a sparkling shower of arrows of rain arched from the emerald breakwater of the reef, the shafts traveling with clear power in the sun, and behind them, ranged for the slaughter, stood villagers, shouting with a sound like the shoal and hoisting arms to the light. Hector ran, splashing in the shallows, mixed with the drizzle, ran towards Achille. His cutlass lifted, the surf in anger gnashing its tail like a foaming dog fight. Men can kill their own brothers in rage. But the madman who tore Achilles' undershirt from one shoulder also tore at his heart. The rage that he felt against Hector was shame. To go crazy for an old baling tin crusted with rust? The jewel of these fishermen was over a shadow, and its name was Helen. Mark Kilman had the oldest bar in the village. Its gingerbread colony had mustard gables. Its gingerbread balcony had mustard gables, with green trim round the eaves, the paint wrinkled with age. In the cabaret downstairs, there were wooden tables for the down slap of dominoes. A bead curtain tinkled every time she came through it. A neon sign endorsed Coca-Cola under the No Pain Cafe. All welcome. The no pain was not her own idea, but her dead husband's. It's a prophecy. Mark Hillman would laugh. A hot street led to the beach past the small shops and the clubs and a pharmacy in whose angling shade, his cakey dog on a leash, the blind man sat on his crate after the pirogues set out, muttering the dark language of the blind, gnarled hands on his stick, his ears as sharp as a dog's. Sometimes he would sing and the scraps blew on the wind when her beads rubbed their rosary. Old Saint Omer, he claimed, he'd sailed around the world. Monsieur Seven Seas, they christened him, from a cod liver oil label with its ringing swordfish. But his words were not clear. They were Greek to her, or old African babble. Across the wires of hot asphalt, the blind singer seemed to be numbering things. Who knows if his eyes saw through the shades, tapping his cane with one finger. She helped him draw his veteran's compensation every first of the month from the small post office. He never complained about the situation, like the rest of them. The corner box and the heat on his hands would make him shift his box to the shade. Mark Hillman saw Philosette hobbling up the street, So she rose from her corner window and she laid out the usual medicine for him, a flask of white ashuku and a jar of yellow Vaseline, a small enamel basin of ice. He would wait in the no-pain cafe all day. There he would lean down and anoint the mouth of the sore on his shin. "What is wrong with you, Philo said. "I am blessed with this wound, Ma Kilman, which will never heal." "Well, you must take it easy. Go home and lie down. Give the foot a little rest." Philo said, his trousers legs rolled, stares out to sea from the worn rum shop window. The itch in the sore tingles like the tendrils of the anemoy and the puffed blister of Portuguese man o' war. He believed the swelling came from the chained ankles of his grandfathers. Or else, why was there no cure? That the cross he carried was not only the anchor's, but that of his race for a village, black and poor as the pigs that rooted in its burning garbage, then were hooked on the anchors of the abattoir. Ma Kilman was sewing. She looked up, saw his face squinting from the white on the street. He was waiting to pass out on the table. This went on for days. The ice turned to warm water near the self-hating gesture of clenching his head tight in both hands. He heard the boys in blue uniforms going to school, screaming at his elbow, "Philo! Philo say!" A mummy embalmed in Vaseline and alcohol. In the Egyptian silence, she muttered, "It have a flower somewhere, a medicine. And ways my grandmother would boil it. I used to watch ants climbing her white flower pot. But, God, in which place? Where was this root? What senna, what tepid tisane could clean the branch river of his corrupted blood, whose sap was a wounded cedar? What did it mean? This name that felt like a fever. Well, one good heft of his garden cutlass would slice the damn name clean from its rotting yam, he said. Mercy. Then he left.